Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, May 16th, 2023. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you're watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe that it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Fitzy, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fantastic.
Good.
We're a couple minutes late, about 3 minutes late starting this morning because, as per usual,
We have an IT issue. No, it's all working.
Hopefully it's all working now. Good morning, Sharon. Welcome, everyone. If anyone has comments or questions or anything they want to say, or just, if you're watching it and just want to say hi, that'd be great. Just say hi.
That's right.
So we're going to have another heavy topic today.
Right.
And the fact that, like a month ago, there were the deaths of the two police officers in Barron County. And I remember just looking at, our show flow and going, I don't even know how to do this. The fact that now it's like there's precedent and it's, okay, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
That's like absurd. So we're going to have to get into that. It is going to be heavy. But I kind of want to keep going with what we're doing with that light stuff and do our questions at the beginning. Do you think that's I don't want to be inappropriate, but man, I got to get some humor. I have to laugh a little bit.
No, we need to make our prediction sure to go wrong.
Yeah, as always.
Right.
Yeah, it is, Dirk, 100%. It is really getting old, really fast. All right, so do you have a question?
Well, your question, I'm sure, is about the Lakers, so I'll take the Miami-Boston series. And again, Miami or Boston, I don't know. It's kind of like the Lakers and the Nuggets. I'm gonna take Miami over Boston.
What?
Yeah, I just think they're gonna do it. I think we're gonna have 2 8 seeds in the NBA championship.
All right, so first of all, that'll never happen because what the NBA wants is the Lakers and the Celtics to be in the finals. Yeah. So watch the officiating. Just saying, that's, of course, the fix is already in. It's going to be the Celtics and the Lakers. It has to be. That's what they want.
You texted me last week and asked me about the Lakers winning game, and I said, no, it's not, because the NBA is not ready yet for these series, the Lakers and Warriors, to be over. So it's going to go one more game, and then the other one more game, the Knicks and the Miami Heat. So, I say I'm going to go, even though I don't think the Lakers can do it, I think they'll surprise me. And I think
and that leads to that was my question. So yours was so you're picking Miami. Yeah, I'm totally going to go Boston. Yeah, duh. Yeah, they are the better team, but again, that's what the NBA wants, and they will make sure that happens. So here's mine. We are 0 for 3 on our Laker predictions so far. Mm-hmm. The first one was they wouldn't make the playoffs. It was like 3 before the playoffs started. Then they wouldn't beat Memphis, and they did. And then they wouldn't beat the Warriors, and they did. So with that said, will the Lakers, who did start the season 2-10, I think, will they defeat Denver and advance to the finals?
Yes, the Lakers. I don't know. Denver's good, but I think the Lakers do it because they want to see Jimmy Butler against LeBron James and all that.
They don't want to see Jimmy. No, what? Jimmy Butler against the Lakers. They want to see Celtics against the Lakers. It's a rivalry forever.
No, we're going to go Miami, LA.
Okay. Well, I'm predicting Celtics in Denver. Now, I'm sure.
You're going to take the Lakers?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't. At this point, I'm all in on. I've already said they weren't going to make the playoffs, and I already said they weren't going to win the round 1 and round 2, and I'm just going to keep going with it. So that's what I think.
Cross-country rivalry, Boston to LA. Wow.
Biggest rivalry ever, 1980s and again in the 2000s. All right. I do have one more here, and this one is not sports related, so anyone can, play along. I put up a post this morning on our Wisconsin headline links.
Okay.
I'm going to read this part here. It's 3 Wisconsin lawmakers are introducing a bill to increase penalties for drivers who don't stop for a school bus. Right now, a driver who doesn't stop when a bus has its flashing red warning lights on could be fined a minimum of $30 $30 to a maximum of $300. Under this bill, the proposed bill, the minimum would then be $300 and the maximum $1,000. So if this bill comes to fruition and becomes law, do you see this reducing violations of people not stopping for school buses when there's the lights on? Is this going to make any difference, or is it a feel-good thing?
That one's a good one. I don't know the answer to that. Well, I would hope it's a reduction. I hope that people don't pass school buses. I mean, I guess from a safety standpoint, I hope that's the case. I don't know that a fine. I mean, I think it's one of the larger fines already. And if they think it's still an issue, I don't see it being an issue. I don't think we write many of these a year. I mean, I'm sure it happens. I'm sure there's some close calls where people don't stop. I'm not saying close calls with kids. I'm saying just stopping when the lights go on and you're it's kind of like the red light. You got to make a decision. You're halfway into the intersection and it's red. Do you keep going or do you slam on your brakes? And but we need to that's why there's warning lights on buses. We need to be careful of that.
It's a big yellow house on wheels. I mean, that alone is kind of a real quick. Why is there? So right now the law is the minimum is $30 and a maximum $300. Why is there a range? I just assume that it's a ticket.
That's a range because there's court costs. I mean, if the Spooner chief writes you a ticket, or the sheriff writes you a ticket, it could be for the same violation on the same day, and it's a different cost because of court costs. And so I don't know why that doesn't make. What
do you mean court cost? So it has nothing to do with it's more egregious.
No, it is. You could get 10 over in the city of Spooner, get stopped by a PD guy. It's whatever it is.
Oh, I see. So they're not making the decision.
No,
it
they
just
don't.
Could be. Oh, I get it now.
Right.
Well, it'd be up to 1,000. I mean, I think most people who aren't going to, I don't think people purposely do it, or if they do, which I don't think is very often.
Right.
I don't even think they know what the fine is right now. So if they found out it's going to be anywhere between 300 and 1,000, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to make it a difference. It's a feel-good thing. I'm not against it. I'm not saying don't do it. Well, yeah, sure, go ahead, but I don't know if it's going to solve anything. What?
If it does, great. If it makes people stop for school buses, I'm all in. But I don't. It's like raising the OWI bill. I don't think, unless we start taking people's cars away, I don't think people are going to pay attention to it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you could raise it to $2,000. It's going to cost you to get an OWI. I don't think it's going to. It might. Some people it might, but the people that drive drunk are going to continue to drive drunk unless we impact them. Like, we're going to take your car for 30 days and we're going to put it in the impound yard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. All right. So obviously there was the death of a third law enforcement. I'm going to say officer. I know it's a sheriff's deputy.
Right.
But a third officer in Northwest Wisconsin. I know you have played a role in this as the sheriff, and also Barron County has. So we need to get into that. Let's run Schaefer. I don't want him hounding on us again. So we'll be back in 15 seconds after word from Spooner Health, if I can find it.
Satisfaction surveys and in conversations with patients, they appreciate the fact that staff got to know them. Staff really took their preferences into account, and they just feel grateful that they are being cared for as a person.
To learn more about our services, visit SpoonerHealth.com.
Preferences. Okay. So it's how it kind of started the show was the fact that we kind of know, okay, so in the event that there is an officer killed in the line of duty in our area, now we kind of have a precedent here. We kind of have an idea of how we do this, which is stupid. Right. I mean, it's just absolutely stupid. Yeah. But we kind of do. So I think we kind of approach it the same way we did, I think about a month ago, maybe it was a month ago today, 4 weeks ago show. Yeah. So this was in St. Croix County, but Barron and all these law enforcement agencies in our area, in our coverage area, have played a role and have helped and assisted in this. So start from the beginning. Walk us through the first 24 hours. You get a call, or this time, I don't think it would be a page like last time because this is not in your county. So walk us through. You get the call. Now what?
So it was 2 weeks ago because obviously last week we didn't have a show. So it was Saturday night, May 6th. I actually went out to eat with my wife. We were driving home. We actually had the food with us. We went and got something to eat and got it to bring home. on a Saturday night. My sergeant calls when I was driving home and said, "Hey, we think an officer was just shot in St. Croix County." That's by Hudson. You figure that's an hour and 10 minutes away. They probably don't need our help. And I said, well, if Sheriff Knutson needs anything, he'll call. I had just left him. The sheriff's conference was the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And so I was just with Sheriff Knutson from St. Croix County on that Wednesday and Thursday. We sat through some training together. We talked, with the Sawyer County Sheriff and the Polk County Sheriff, and just sat around with kind of the northern. Tracy was there from Burnett. We're just sitting around. So Saturday night, my deputy sergeant calls me and said, I think this happened. I said, okay, if you hear they need help, let me know and we'll go help. I didn't even get 4 miles down the road or a couple miles down the road, and it was Sheriff Knutson, as I'm pulling into my driveway, said, we got an officer shot. I need your help. Can you get over here? And he said, and we also don't have our suspect yet. He's fled the scene. Can I have your SWAT team? And I said, yep, we're on our way. So I've changed cars and changed clothes and jumped in my squad and paged our SWAT team. I talked to Sheriff Wallace from Russ County, who's obviously our SWAT team also, and said, we're going to St. Croix County. They got an officer shot. He said, I'll meet you there. So we started rolling down. We got our team paged. I started driving over to St. Croix County. I took my canine guy with me. He happened to be on duty. We had enough coverage in the county. I said, you come with me in case they need another canine. Let's go get this guy. And we got all the way over there. And Glenwood City is a long ways away. Even at 100 miles an hour, it seems like it takes forever to get there. And when we rolled in, they actually had located the suspect, and he had ultimately committed suicide. And at that time, I also learned, I just met with Sheriff Knutson at their command post, and he told me that their officer had died at the hospital. So different things got rolling into place. The sheriff from Joe Werner from Jeepers, I'm not even going to get word, from not Pierce County, Pepin County. Excuse me, Joel from Pepin County was there. He's the sheriff from there. And him and Scott, they connect. Their counties connect. So he obviously was there. And Scott had called him and said, hey, I need some help over here. And so we started kind of becoming incident commanders of their scene, because obviously their staff is distraught. They can't help work the county. Our SWAT team was then canceled because we didn't need a SWAT team anymore because the bad guy. But I said, is there 3 guys on our team that could come over and work the county? Obviously, their deputies can't work the county. They just lost their partner. So we can't.
I want to keep going with all this, but I don't want to. What do you mean they can't work the county? What are you talking? Well, work isn't like just go to work.
Can't go on another call because their partner just died. And so we're notifying their staff about this death of Kaitie, their deputy. Kaitie Leising was her name.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. We should have mentioned that. I apologize for that. Kaitie, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and so there's they can't go on a call if they had a domestic or a traffic accident, or the 3 people. They have about 5 deputies on. I don't know exactly how many they have, but they have about 5 on. And they were all going to that call. They were all also involved in that call. So they become, even though a St. Croix County deputy never fired a weapon, no St. Croix County deputies fired a weapon, and the bad guy had shot himself. It's still active scenes, and we have to solve it. So DCI comes and handles that portion of it. But so I had 3 guys come over from our department and work until 6 a.m. Joel from Pepin County, he started making the schedule.
When was this? So what time was this when, so you're there and I wrote this down because you had mentioned an incident commander. Like, we were being incident commanders. Who's we? And what does that mean? And about what time is this at this point on that Saturday? Like 9 at night, or I don't know.
It's probably... Well, it took us about an hour to drive there, so it's probably like 8:30.
Okay.
It's just getting dark, so 8:30, 9 o'clock. And
what's an incident commander, and who were the incident commanders? Walk us through that.
Yeah, an incident commander is just someone in charge of the scene. They make all the decisions. All the decisions run through that person. And well, and Sheriff Joel and I were both sheriffs. Sheriff Knutson and his administrative team are meeting right next to us. You know, they're upset, they're sad, they're angry, they're worried about the other people. How do we notify all their staff? 100 things have to go through their minds, and was going through our minds. And so decisions need to be made. He had already contacted the Sheriff Knutson, had already contacted DCI. They were handling it. We had to secure the scenes. A couple more sheriffs came over from Pierce County.
There would be two scenes, right? Because if they fled, so there'd be two scenes.
There's actually 3 scenes because Kaitie was actually transported to the hospital, which then needed to be secured. So her equipment needed to be secured at the hospital. So we actually had 3 scenes that we had to put people on that couldn't be involved in the case.
Yeah.
So they had to be, locked down. No one could move anything, touch anything until DCI gets there to investigate it. So you have to lock it down. I mean, you don't lock it down, but it's just a term saying, hey, no one gets in or out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Yep.
And so that's what we were doing. We were making sure the scenes are secure. Like I said, the Pierce County Sheriff came over. Another sheriff came over that Joel had called, and we were just making decisions. And then I said, we'll work the county tonight. So our guys would take calls if there was an accident or if there was it was Saturday night. There's bound to be activity. And, we contacted the North Hudson chief, came over. The Hudson chief called us, and we had all these chiefs. The New Richmond chief called us and said, hey, we're here to help. What do you need? I'm like, hey, you guys are dealing with this. You guys knew Kaitie. You guys need to take care of your team. So we did all of that and then DCI arrives on scene, and then they take over the scene and they do the investigation. That we were not involved in any part of the investigation. We were strictly on the outside, making sure Scott and his team were taken care of. Sheriff Knutson and his team were taken care of. We wanted to make sure that we did everything for Kaitie and her family. Sheriff Knutson had to leave to go be with Kaitie and the family and make notification and do all that stuff that sucks, all that bad stuff that Sheriff Knutson had to do in his administrative team. So that's basically where we go until about, I think I got home about 4:30 in the morning from doing, all of that, making sure DCI had everything they needed, make sure we had everything met the needs of Kaitie and her family, met the needs of Scott and his team. And, we had pastors and the law enforcement death response team, which it's a state agency that's privately funded. There's some politics involved in that has to change.
Oh,
that needs to be the leader team. It's law enforcement death response team. Okay. They are a team that comes when you have a law enforcement death, whether it be a suicide, it could be an incident like this, whatever it is. They were here for our case with Emily and with Hunter. They were there for Kaitie. I had just worked with them for the past couple of weeks. They work with families. They do a lot of different things. And so this leader team, but what I found out is they are not funded by the state of Wisconsin, and they should be funded by the state of Wisconsin. And they are volunteers that take time out to help these. And I just don't get it. I don't know why it's not part of like DCI. We call DCI and they handle this. This leader team needs to be under the Department of Justice and needs to be funded. There's a lot of politics involved in this, and I don't like it. I don't like this politics involved in that.
What's the politics? But I don't want to get too far into the weeds here. But just a quick overview. What do you mean if it's not funded by the DOJ or anything else? Then how is there politics involved?
Well, it should be funded by them because these people shouldn't have to do this on a voluntary basis. This is a very important role for police departments, sheriff's departments, and it should be a DOJ. Like we call DCI, we call one number, and this leader team goes. I'm not saying that we need to pay the people, but some of these people have jobs. Like if it was a sheriff or a police chief, I'm not saying pay them, but I'm saying there's some DOJ
fund the organization.
That know the ins and outs of some certain things. They should be funded by the state of Wisconsin, and they should have a small budget. They don't need $1 million. They just need to fund some. They have to fund their own hotel rooms, and they have to fund. There's a lot of little things that at the time need to get taken care of, and I plan on fixing that. I plan on marching to Madison and fixing that problem, because that is a critical need for chiefs and sheriffs when they're going through something like this. And if the DOJ can provide DCI, they can sure provide the leader team.
Well, maybe we'll take some of that money from the school bus violation people if that comes to fruition.
Right, exactly.
That to fund it.
So
all right. So hold on before you continue. Sheriffs, you had mentioned multiple sheriffs were there, or so far it seems like you don't share from this and share from that. I can't say normal. The fact that this is almost becoming, and I don't think it is yet, but we don't want this to be normalized. But obviously there was a situation, again, just in Barron County with the other two officers. Were you surprised when all the sheriffs were there? I mean, because I'm assuming all law enforcement wants to help and support in any way they can. Is that normal to have a whole bunch of sheriffs from, you just said Jeff Wallace, Russ County. That's quite a ways away. I mean, that's multiple counties over, and he's like, they're done. I'm away. Is that normal? Or well, I'm sure normal is not the right. It's not the right word.
There's a new normal. You're right. Your word is right. It's the new normal. It's funny because Sheriff Knudsen and I had a conversation yesterday because we had a media outlet that was bad, that had done something bad, and we kind of went after him a little bit, and I can explain that later. But to your question,
I want to hear that story.
That's the story. I know. And they made it right, so it's all good now.
Okay.
But it's funny. But with Sheriff Knudsen and I had a conversation, because he called me the night of our incident in Barron County. He said, "What do you need?" I said, "I don't know what I need. I don't think I need any help. I got plenty of people standing around here." And he said to me, "The next time that happens to a county close to me, I'm getting into my car and I'm driving there." Because ultimately what Joel and I and Jeff, who spent the week doing a lot of different things in Hudson during the week, learned is that it's important for all of us to drive there. Even if we don't have a job, sooner or later, we ran out of people again. And there just needs to be somebody standing around saying, "I'm free. I can go stand at the hospital and guard something. I'm free. I can watch this stop sign and make sure it doesn't fall over." Whatever the job is, we had people there to do it. And all of those sheriffs ended up with a job, a pretty major job. And I'm not saying it was just a command person, somebody that is not afraid to make a decision, not afraid to take responsibility for something. You can't put that on a patrol person from another county.
No.
Hey, stand here and do this. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying we don't want to put that responsibility on our patrol people. So as sheriffs and as chiefs, we did that. The North Hudson chief was there. He was taking notes. He was the note taker. I mean, he had awesome notes, phone numbers of people so we could call them and say, "Hey, are you standing there?" "Yeah, I'm here." "Okay, good. Now we don't have to go look for you." I mean, it was
and you
great.
became like the media person, and but people probably don't know this. Well, I don't know how they would, but obviously with DrydenWire being part of media, we were getting emails, and you don't send them just to DrydenWire. You send them like, I don't know, 50, 60, this group email thing to all media, and you were kind of that point person. Now, granted, it's still Sheriff Knudsen. His word is, like you said during a lot of these cases, unless it comes from me in this podium, that's how it is. But you were kind of, it looked like, at least from all the emails that I got, a part of all the media outlet stuff and your emails that you send to media, you kind of took over that role. Was that something you said, "Hey, I'm comfortable with media. I have a relationship with them. I can do this part"? Did you volunteer, or were you tasked to do it? Did you draw the short straw? How did that work out? It sounds like everybody kind of found their role in how they can help. And you just said one person was taking notes. Meticulous, detailed notes. Fantastic. How did you end up doing that?
He asked me, he said, "Can you handle the media?" And I said, "Of course I can handle the media. I have a relationship." Right.
I got a gun. I'll handle it.
This show has made me I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm just saying I have relationships built with the media. It's funny. I got a card here from KSTP Channel 5, and they said, "Thanks for all the help." They sent a thank you for all the information we did. And they said, "Boy, you've had a lot of weird stuff happen to you. We'd like to talk to you about that someday." And I said, "Well, yeah." And I just make myself available to that. And I'm not afraid of the media. And again, it shows because we had an issue with a media outlet, and we were able to take care of that through relationships. I was able to call somebody on a Saturday morning, and what it was is we let the media, we couldn't let them in the school because the family didn't want media in the school, but we let them outside, and we said no close-ups of the family. And a news outlet on Saturday morning showed a very close-up of the family. And I called them and I said, hey, listen, you've made some people upset. That needs to get taken down. And within the hour, I had a call from the vice president of a major TV network in Minneapolis saying, I'm sorry, we removed it. We apologize. It won't happen again. We're sorry. And we said, hey, great. Thank you. Mistakes happen. They didn't do it maliciously. They just had a good picture and they used it, and it wasn't supposed to get taken. And they removed it. Now, did they have to? Absolutely not. It was a free country. They didn't have to do it. But all it would have done is say the next funeral or the next time we need media, you're going to be a block away instead of 30 feet away. We can create a zone whenever we want. And no one else violated our rules. We said, hey, these are the rules going in. And again, it's about building relationships.
Yeah, and you sent out a lot. Again, nobody sees this part because they're not, unless you're watching in a part of media, you don't know this. But you were sending out emails to all people in media, again, including DrydenWire, we're on that list too, of updated things. Not updated in regards to necessarily here's the case stuff. Like, that wasn't your job. My job was, here's this, and on this date it's going to be this. And these were not open. We don't publicize this stuff. We don't post these. They're not press releases. It's just sent to media to give them a heads up on what's going on. And that here's the date, here's the location, I think you even sent one with here's the funeral procession and here's this route and all this, staging will be over here. So there was a lot of communication from you. I don't know how many emails that I had received from you over this last week.
2 or 3 a day. And that's just to keep people from, and again, if we don't give you stories, you're going to have to go out and find your own.
Right.
That's what the media does. And so if we can give them, one of the media outlets contacted the family. As you've seen, most of my emails at the bottom said, do not contact the family, respect their privacy.
No, that I don't know. I'd have to, no. That's gross. I'm sorry I missed this in the comments. Luke, this was about what we were previously talking about, and I'd missed it. So I'm sorry. Private citizen would fund it freely if we weren't already taxed to death. So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily in favor of getting that done, which is perfectly fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, even though yours is wrong. Kidding, of course. Okay,
and
so
he's saying it's a good program. He just doesn't.
No, I totally get it. And private citizens absolutely would fund that.
And they do fund
it. They already do.
That's how they're doing it right now, and we appreciate the support that Leader gets. And they're unbelievable people. I mean, that team that they built, and a lot of it is police chiefs, and a lot of it is.
Yeah, it's like you're tired. I can see Terry Dryden doing it, right? Dad doing it, being a part of something. How can I come and help? I've been there. I've done this before. I'm here to help and support.
And they don't really help a lot of it to law enforcement. A lot of it's the family. A lot of contacts are, hey, this is what a law enforcement funeral means. Do you want this to happen at the law enforcement funeral? This is what.
About that.
Yeah, it's detailed events, and this is where you'll get funding. This is where you'll get a check from. This is how you fill out for death, money for line of duty deaths. This is who's going to contact you. This is how you set up a fund, because there's so many fake funds out there. This is how you set it up. We want one bank. We want, and there's a bank that didn't want to do this. And I'm just shocked at that. And maybe the person wasn't making the right decision, but Wisconsin Credit Union stepped up in St. Croix County and said, anybody drops up a check at any time at any Wisconsin Credit Union, we'll put it in the same account. I mean, that's what it should be. But there's a bank that said, no, we don't want to do that. I don't know that it got explained to them right. I'm not
sure.
But
I get it
because I don't understand it. But I wasn't part of that conversation. But there was some upset people that the bank didn't want to help, and so I was shocked. So
when it comes to Barron County. So you had said earlier that they can't basically kind of work there. Can't run shifts and stuff. So how does that work? Does that mean the neighboring counties, Burnett, Polk, Barron, or whomever, Hudson, Pepin, Pierce, Price, or whichever is the P that's down there.
Yep.
Do they fill like just the shifts? And if so, for how long is it until? I mean, they don't know anything about the area, right? So it's, I mean, thankfully you got like GPS, I'm assuming, and all these other things that you can. Hey, this is happening here at the Quick Trip in the north side. I'm like, I don't even know where that is. Right. So that's got to be interesting. But is that how it works? Like everybody else fills it and nobody can work? That is like a sheriff's deputy. You can't work until what? The funeral, or how does that go?
Exactly. You're exactly right.
I was just guessing. Like, I had no idea.
We didn't work until after the funeral. No patrol person in St. Croix County worked. And I'm not saying their administrative team did. Their administrative team was in the same room as me all week long. They are a rock solid group. Scott Knudsen knows that. He knows he built the team. I have the same team. I've said that about my team and my department. I mean, it's awesome. But they have many debriefs. They have to get their uniforms, and they have to learn how to do, honor guards. A lot of people want to be part of something like that, and they don't have that training. So they had honor guard training. So it's not like the cops had the week off and they went to the beach. Right. They were at the office every day, just together, getting through this. Yeah. My captain and my sergeant were over there one day working, and we cleaned out Kaitie's squat. I mean, it's not something that but you should not. County deputy should have to do that. Mm-mm. And so we were able to do the little things that make a big difference. And that's what we did. So yeah, GPS, we had to get the radio frequency. Their command staff made a list of, hey, these are our hospitals, these are the hot spots, and then we worked day and night. And that's what Joel and Jeff Wallace did from Rusk and Pepin. They made schedules, and they called every sheriff around and said, hey, can you bring 3 guys? Can you bring 3 guys? Can you bring 3 guys for this night shift? And they filled in that. And then you have to do the honor guard thing and the honor watch for Kaitie.
And for people who don't know what an honor watch is.
And that is when you guard the body at the funeral home. And St. Croix County deputies filled all of those spots. So they were doing honor watch, and that's 24/7. It's every second there has to be a deputy with her until the funeral. And luckily they filled all of those spots. That's what we had to fill here. When Hunter and Emily were killed in the line of duty, we took over filling the shifts in Cameron and Chetek. We worked with Rice Lake PD, and they did some Cameron shifts. We did some Chetek shifts. And then we brought in all these other people to do the honor watch because those departments aren't big enough. St. Croix County's got 128 employees, and they have enough people to do that honor watch, and they all took it, dispatchers and jailers and everybody, and they all took a shift. And that's closure, too. That builds closure for that. A lot of debriefs, a lot of making sure you're okay to go back on the job.
I'm glad you brought up dispatchers, because I wrote down telecommunications. You were talking about filling these shifts for patrol. Telecommunications, dispatchers, that they have to still do that, right? Because how do you really fill someone? Do the people that working in the dispatch center, do they also don't work until after? Or that one's different? Because I can't imagine someone you just can't like walk in and it's like, okay, now I know everything about this county. I mean, that'd be a little different, right?
Yeah, no, we didn't fill all of their. I'm looking. There's a lot of squad cars moving around here. I'm trying to see what's going on. There's a lot of activity outside.
A lot of activity outside. Well, we could wrap it up. That's fine if you need to go.
No, it's all good. No one's got their lights on, but there's a lot of activity for some reason.
Turn it down so we don't all hear.
Yeah, no kidding. So dispatchers did work, jailers did work.
Oh, yeah, because
we did fill their shifts the day of the funeral, so we were able to piece together enough so they could attend the funeral. There was always a jailer and a dispatcher that offered to stay behind and work. But a lot of support. Again, the support in Hudson was unbelievable. In St. Croix County, not just Hudson. That's where I spent most of my time, was Hudson. It was unbelievable. Again, the sidelines are coming to the front lines. We're building a stronger law enforcement. I wish we didn't have to do that. I wish we could do something fun. It was funny because somebody said, you know what, all these cops came again, and we had a great showing for Kaitie and to honor Kaitie. And you see a lot of people that you never see. But again, we saw some of these people just a month ago. So I'm like, 2 times in a month I've seen you. I haven't seen you for 3 years, and now I've seen you twice in a month.
And hopefully you never have to see him again.
Right. One guy said, I'm going to rent the park in Hudson and we're going to have a big party. Everybody that came here today is getting invited to it because we want to be there for something fun. And I thought that was a neat idea to do. We'll do that, and we'll get together and do some fun things because we need to do that.
Well,
right.
You have to. I wrote down one more thing here on this topic specifically, and that is with these people going over there, Barron County, and all these other counties, how does that work pay-wise? Is this a taxpayer dollars? So it's, my taxes are paying for. Now, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it, but how does that work? Does St. Croix County now have to pick up the tab? And maybe this is wildly, just all of this is probably just inappropriate. I'm just curious, how does that actually work?
It costs us about $5,000. I have a spreadsheet with the numbers. It costs us about $5,000 for all the work we did last week.
So St. Croix, so you don't send them an invoice?
No, I didn't. I could, and I'm sure they'd pay it. But everybody has to remember, 4 years ago during the Claus case, St. Croix County sent me 4 detectives, and they spent a week here. They didn't send me a bill for that. That's just how we go back and forth. And so I'm still in the hole. If you want to really get down to dollars and cents, I'm sure I still owe them some money. If you really want to argue how much they sent me on that, because we were here for 88 days, and a lot of days their people were here. They had some detectives and some people that used to work in Barron County and lived in Barron County. They knew the area, so they said, hey, we know the area. We're going to send you these guys. And we're like, we'll take them. There's a new normal to this. And so, yes, 100%, we spent some overtime. There's no question about it. I budget for that overtime. Hopefully we don't spend any more. We budget for SWAT calls. We budget for all of that. Sometimes we go over, sometimes we go under. And that's just the way life goes right now.
That's the way it is. But you're there to help and support each other. And we've talked about that. These arbitrary lines of our county line. We're Northwest Wisconsin, man. It's just us. And we're just one big community with these little pockets of these smaller communities. But you've got to support. So, of course, it has to be, to put a bow on this, the last question has to be, this is now the third officer, granted deputy, but officer, killed in Northwest Wisconsin in like a month from 2 similar situations. Traffic stops, gun, etc. What's the answer here? Gun control? Should we be? And I know I don't want to get into politics here. I just mean, is that the answer? Like, what is the answer? How do we don't ever want to see one, and now we've had 2 incidents and 3 dead. We never want to see another one. How do we do this? What's next?
And I don't know that any of the cases, and you got to go to the one in Milwaukee. That's the 4th officer killed in Wisconsin this year, and then Minnesota had 1. So we've had 5 officers in a arm's distance away from us killed in the line of duty, all by gunfire. All 5 were gunfire. I don't think it's gun control. I'm not saying no one had I don't think it's gun control. I think we have to go back to a little bit, I don't know the word, stricter law enforcement. We've got to pat you down, but people are offended when we pat you down, and we're offended if we put you in handcuffs for our protection. I think we're going to have to go back a little bit here. We used to, pat everybody down but people like, it's my right to carry a gun. And now, it's like, it's your right to carry a gun, but it's my right to make sure I go home at the end of my shift for keeping you safe. And I might pat you down. And I might hold your gun while I do this thing. If you're not drunk, then you get your gun back and life will go on, or whatever the case is. I think we've got to just, I don't know. If I knew the answer, I'd be a millionaire.
Well, I remember, and actually, you and I actually did have a conversation or 2 on the phone over this last week. And I had asked you something similar to that I remember. I think I told you the story. So when Dad became sheriff, that was, I don't know, 1990-ish. So shortly thereafter, that's when El Albion siren was shot. And if anyone recalls the situation, he went up because he knew the person, right? Very familiar relationship. And so they learned a lot from this, right? You got to do more. So when I'm in a vehicle and Dad's taking me to school and drop me off, and sheriff's vehicle, he drops me off. He's had to pull some people over from time to time in front of him. I mean, he's a sheriff. He doesn't want to. To be honest, like, I got sheriff stuff to do. I'm not a traffic patrol person. But when someone passes you in a what?
They're voters. You can't give
That's right. You can't give voter tickets. But if somebody passes them in a double yellow line doing 80, not realizing he's in a sheriff's vehicle, okay, fine. I'm going to have to pull you over. And Dad was very friendly. I remember watching and observing him, and he was always, going up there and talking to them. After that, after Al Albee died, after he got murdered,
Right.
Dad was different. And it was interesting. I would watch him go up to someone, and now he would stop at the passenger or the rear seat, lean over, and his hand was not on his gun, but it was closer. And he was leaning over, and it was much more matter-of-factly. And I remember asking why, and he said, because you just don't know anymore. You just don't know. So you have to take extra steps and be extra cautious. You never want to think of this person I'm pulling over is going to kill me, because that's probably not a great way to go through life. We're just always assuming that. But you also have to consider that that's a possibility. So be careful. And I wonder, it kind of ties into what you were saying, that do we go back to something different where it's not that I'm trying to be mean or rude. I'm not going to yell at you or anything. Just, and that scares me because I like the human element of law enforcement. I like Mike Kronberger, who we had on, the new Spooner police chief a couple weeks ago. Super nice guy, and we could sit and talk to you as a citizen. I like that. I like the relationship between law enforcement and its community. And they can still happen, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be something else, because both of these happened during a traffic stop or as a result of a traffic stop.
And you got to remember two things, and I think you make a really good point. Kaitie had a conversation for about 8 minutes with that guy before he shot her. And I think you used the word right. And I think we used killed in the line of duty. We need to change that word killed to murdered. And I think it will have a bigger impact if we use the word murder versus the word killed in the line of duty. Because everyone's like, well, killed in the line of duty could have been doing anything. Maybe they were driving too fast, which happens, and people lose control of their car and die. Accidents happen every day. But they were responding to an emergency call for a domestic or a shooting or whatever they are when we're driving fast. And we have to do that safely, because it does us no good if we don't get to the scene. We teach our guys that. But I think Sheriff Knutson said this to me again. He's a very good guy, and I appreciate it, Luke. I think you're exactly right. But we've got to use the word murder versus killed in the line of duty. And
he said that too.
Yeah, he said that. He said the word murder. And
I don't think it's technically murder in Wisconsin. It's like intentional homicide. I don't care. It's called murder. Just like I don't care if they call it a civil unrest. No, it's a freaking riot. I'm going to call it a riot because that's what it is.
But we don't use the word murder. We
should.
Murdered Kaitie. These guys murdered Hunter and Emily.
100% right.
100%. And if we use the word murder, people are like, they pay attention to that more versus killed in the line of duty. Because that's like, well, it's their job. Well, it's not our job to get killed.
To get killed?
So
no.
We've got to use the word murder. And I think that's a word that we need to get our politicians to start using. We got to get our media to start using.
I'll start using it.
And I think we will start to see a change. And again, the sidelines are our front lines. I've said that. I'm speaking tomorrow at the Law Enforcement Memorial in Eau Claire, and that's a big part of my speech is the front line. The sidelines are now the front line. It's awesome. I'm still happy to be a law enforcement officer. My team is still happy to be a law enforcement officer. Are we on edge a little bit? Yeah, it sucks. Mentally and physically and emotionally, yes, but so is the rest of the community. But our community stands behind us, and we love it. So,
all right.
I mean, it's awesome.
Well, obviously, as always, our at least here at our house, we prayed for that family. Mm-hmm. Kaitie's family. Nope.
And Sheriff Knutson and his team were unbelievable. I can't say enough. It was an honor to be part of their team for a week. It was a blessing for me. I learned a lot from them. And I was hoping I was able to make a little difference for them. And so it was great.
All right. Let's get to something else here real quick. Before we wrap it up, Dirk, go ahead and put in your weather predictions sure to go wrong. That's what we should start calling them.
I think Dirk's always on, so I don't think
he actually is. Yeah, he is. So I just have a quick announcement. I put it up yesterday. It's going to my brother, Matt Dryden. There's a free will donation, pig roast in Shell Lake to support the fireworks show and the street dance, because, again, that is now free fireworks show. You and I go to that, and usually Mike Schaefer. He must not be on this morning. That's on July 3rd, of course, in Shell Lake. It's just a fantastic show. But to help pay for all this stuff, to keep it free. The street dance is free. You don't have to get a wristband or pay for anything. It's all free. But there is last year I think it was like hot dogs or something, and I was down there and my family were serving stuff, and I'll be down there again. I can't remember what the date is. May 18th. Hold on, I'll look it up on DrydenWire. But it's going to be a pig roast. I think it's like even like a spit pig or pit. What's that called?
No
they put the pig on the thing. A full
roast.
Pig spit roasted over the grill. Goes May 27th. So it's on Saturday, May 27th, 11:30 to 2:30. That's at Matt's Ice Cream Stand in Shell Lake, which is just right across from the beach. That's right in beach, right in front of the his gym.
All right.
Right there.
Perfect.
And yeah. Oh, by the way, I may have that 38 special. Speaking of July 3rd, July 1st, of course, is the Freedom shoot. What's it called? Freedom Music Fest, Wisconsin, formerly Spooner Block Party. Yeah. Yesterday, I got an email from 38 Special because they're going to be they're like the headliner for that event, the management group for them, and to have the lead singer on for a show. Perfect.
Awesome.
I know.
Everybody get your tickets. And of course, the Spooner or the Freedom Music Fest sent the thing out for law enforcement.
That's why I want to make sure we brought it up.
I appreciate that. I mean, they're awesome. I mean, it's for first responders. It should be the biggest event ever. It's a great event. All the money's going back into law enforcement, fire, EMS. It's great. Everybody should be at the Freedom Music Fest on July 1st. It's the greatest night ever. It's fun. It's entertaining, and we're all going to be there together.
We only been to one because they've only had one. It was called Spooner Block Party, and you and I went. So even if it was just the exact same as that, go. But it sounds like it's going to be even more. And I'm sorry, I missed this, Kathy. My dad retired as sheriff of Barron County. Do you know who this is, Fitzy? My mom told me.
Her dad was a reserve deputy with my dad. Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Well, it's the first time. Maybe she's commented before. Kathy, I'm sorry. The first time I've seen that.
So get out to the Freedom Music Fest. They have the best garbage around. It's going to be smoky because of the fire. I learned that this morning.
What do you mean smoky?
Wildfires in Canada.
Oh,
all the way down.
Like my garage is usually smoky, but that's for a different reason. Because I'm a little smoky.
I don't comprehend that. How can it be a fire in Canada and be smoking Rice Lake? I just don't get it.
Dirk. Well, you know what, Dirk? There you go. Put up the reason for that on your own page, Dirk, and then on your Facebook page. Why that's something about atmosphere, something, whatever, jet stream, maybe, I don't know. And then tag Fitzy and I, so then we actually get to know what that is. Oh, and there is Mike. We already ran your ad, so you can go away.
He'll be at the block party. No, I don't know. Maybe he will.
Maybe. Dirk, last comment. Everyone in law enforcement, stay safe. 100%. We support Fitzy, we support you.
I know. Hey, did you get that cake?
What's that? Oh, that's right. You sent me something like 3 minutes before, like, hey, just make sure this is available. I'm like, wow. So I'm hurrying up. Where is it? Yeah, you said somebody just sent that to you this morning.
The girls upstairs dropped that off for us and gave us a cake. And it's made by the Mad Batter in Cameron, which is a new store. Maybe they'll advertise on us now. But yeah, and the ladies upstairs are always keeping us in their mind. So that was a cake they dropped off for us. So we're eating cake as soon as we're off.
And now I just realized when you sent that photo, I don't know what that document says on the right. Hopefully that's not confidential information that I just put on our page.
No, it talks about Police Week. And it's
good.
National Police Week. We remember our fallen and we support our officers. And like I said, I'll be speaking tomorrow in Eau Claire for the Western Wisconsin Law Enforcement Memorial. And yeah, I don't want to become an expert at doing these events. I like big events like the Spooner Block Party and all that, or the Freedom Music Fest. Yeah. I'll go plan all those all day long with them. But they already got a good handle on it, and they have the best garbage uppers around. So their garbage system is the best.
And the freaking. All right, that's a whole. All right, last thing here. Look at Brian just commented. So there you go, Brian from Professional Exteriors. I truly think by all the ones that shoot and kill, the cops have a huge record. I truly think the judges need to hammer down on some of these criminals better than they have. Hey, that's the preaching to the choir on that one.
I I might need some work in my house done, Brian, quick before graduation next weekend. So I might be calling you too. I need a board fix. So I know a guy that's got a saw.
Don't embarrass. Come on, you have to at least pretend it's something else. Yeah, there's a board.
I
Fix.
need you to
I'm
build me a
gonna
garage.
call professional exteriors and interiors.
Fix a board. He probably doesn't even do jobs this small.
Board. Oh my goodness gracious! The show is just a disaster.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we're losing it now.
All right, man. Hey, thanks so much. We'll see you next week, huh? For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Brian Daniels, professional exteriors and interiors with nearly 20 years of experience. This locally owned and operated business has provided quality work both on the outside and on the inside of your home or business. They can even fix boards. So give Brian a call today at 715-520-2271. We'll see you guys next week. So until then, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the show. No kidding. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Fitzy. Thank you, law enforcement. Have a blessed day.